Swipe and Gripe with you on a Thursday. Let's talk a little bit about whether the Nuggets can win some awards next season, bring home some hardware, including could Nikola Jokic bag his 4th MVP? We'll talk about it on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day, being with us, being an everydayer, hanging out with us Monday through Friday as we continue to roll through the offseason. To appreciate each and every one of you that have made Locked On Nuggets a part of your life. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Matt Moore. I'm joined by Swipa Cam on Twitter, on YouTube, Player's Choice, various places. What did you argue about on Player's Choice today?
Is Joel Embiid a Hall of Famer? That was
And
the first, no doubt, without question.
Okay. Interesting.
What do you think?
I'd lean towards it's weird because it's like, am I gonna say the guy that won MVP is less worthy than a guy that never really won any major awards like Shawn Marion? Because I think Shawn Marion should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Embiid needs one meaningful play. I just need one meaningful playoff run, like one.
So I think Mars and Chill or whoever listed out he has 5 All-NBAs, 3 All-Defense, and then 1 MVP. And I think the only other players ever to do that are like Jordan, Kobe, I think Hakeem, and like maybe 2 more players. So like kind of illustrious, standings historically. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's easily one of the 30 best players I've ever watched.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. I think enough time has passed and enough of the 2023 Shams articles have passed to be able to just say that, like, from a basketball standpoint, there's a level he got to, even if it wasn't sustainable, 23, 24, especially, where he was just like, just on another planet for a little bit.
And the playoff stuff doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying level of play. I think the Knicks series was really good. That's probably his best series ever.
Yeah, and level of play. My problem is he was targeting those bad teams, and that really bugged me. Now, Jokic killed bad teams. Jokic killed lots of bad teams. But he also had one of the greatest games of all time and a loss to the Timberwolves this year. It's like,
yeah. He had 50 versus that Wolves team that year, remember?
I think it's tough, man. Yeah, I think it's tough. I think it's tough to determine. I don't mind the assessment there. All right, on our show, we're gonna talk about the Nuggets, and we're gonna talk about some award stuff. We're gonna get into all of this on today's show. Let's just get to it. So no one over the age of 29, so no one 30 and above, has won MVP since 2006 and Steve Nash. Nash won it when he was 30 and 31 in 2005 and 2006. And then before that, you have to go back to 99 and a 35-year-old Karl Malone before the last time somebody won it. This has been a pretty consistent trend, is like you have to be younger than 30. And it's not like there's some sort of magical thing that clicks over when you're 30, but there aren't even a lot of like 29-year-olds in this list. There's Kobe Bryant was in 2008 was 29, and most of them are 28, 27, 26. I personally think it's probably for the best if Jokic, like, the ideal would be, hey, the Nuggets are so good, Jokic is no longer in contention for MVP. Like, that's probably in the best interest of everybody, is that that the Nuggets are so good, he doesn't have to look the part of an MVP as much this year.
Well, Hakeem, back-to-back years, 30 and 31 were his 2 best seasons too. He played 80 games both of those seasons. So Jordan also should have won the year that Malone won. I don't care about the record stuff there. He was 36 at that point, I think, maybe so 35 at that point.
He started the season 35, ended 36.
Sheesh, what a legend. Look, we have different opinions about this. I think for me, I'm just like, I think the Nuggets are going to be so good next year, and his numbers are going to be so good again. His efficiency is going to be so good again. The defense will be a lot better for the team in stretches. I think at this point, he kind of sleepwalks into Matt, like, we have disagreements on how many games he's to play. I think he'll play at least 68 games next year. Everybody's fully healthy, which is taking 14 games off for various reasons. I mean, next year his numbers come down to, I mean, legit, Matt, he averaged 30, 13, and 10 last year. So his numbers go down to 26, 12, and 10 and a half because he has more offensive help around him this year, and his efficiency goes up to what? He was at 66 this year. No, like he was at 67, no heaves. So like, what does it go up to? 69, 70? I mean, it's just going to be really difficult, I think, for him not to finish at least second. You know, if he's playing that many games, if the numbers are that good, most people that are voters and that watch basketball think he's the best in the world. The Nuggets win 55, 56, 54 games again next year. He didn't win this year, averaging a 30, 13, 10 triple-double. You know, the same thing that kind of happened to the MVP year. Like, he went to the playoffs. He had a 30, 13, 10 playoff run. Everybody's like, all right, we should have gave it to him. So then he wins to one the next year. And then he loses last year to SGA, mostly because of record. He goes to the playoffs, has up and down for his standards, has 2 40, 15, and 5 games, only 40-point games versus OKC all year. And then he has a dominant year the next year. They win more games. No all-star, you know, depending on, we'll talk about that a little bit later, like the rosters. I mean, I have a hard time seeing him not finish at least 2 if he's just Jokic, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. The MVP finishes are crazy. So since 2019, 4th, 9th, 1st, 2nd, 1st, 2nd.
Yeah.
You know, like he's in that conversation. The only way I could see him finishing below 2nd would be, I'm trying to think who. So Shea does the thing again and finishes top 2.
Luka. But even then. Yeah. Giannis, but even then, Eastern Conference.
And this is one of the problems is like, I have gone back and forth on this year so much because this was the singular greatest offensive season in NBA history. And so I think about that and I'm like, how did he not win MVP? And then there's that part of my brain that's like, because the coach got fired and they were miserable and they underperformed and they lost to the Wizards multiple times. And then the other part of my brain's like, okay, but also like individually, like his performance was unprecedented. Like there's nothing like his season in NBA history. If the team was just, and I do think it's an interesting question of if the team is like average, an average contending team.
Yeah.
Does he put up the numbers that he did? Does he have to put up the numbers that he did?
That December month for sure doesn't happen. And you know a month I'm talking about when he was averaging like 36. Yeah. Like for no, that month doesn't happen. But the assists are probably there.
It's nuts. It's really tough to kind of figure out.
You think this will be a happier year for the team? Do you think this will be a happier year for the team?
Yes. I am very much looking forward to covering the team and being in interviews and those kind of things. Like it was,
yeah.
And it was always, I had this constant like existential thing with Ryan where I was like, I don't understand why we're so miserable and why the team seems so miserable. Like they're going to win 50, like they're on pace for 50 games. They're in the playoff. Like it just, everything felt like such a drag.
Yeah.
Like it was just like a bummer. Even as you're watching Jokic have these unprecedented, incredible, amazing games, there was so little joy in it.
Yeah.
And I will agree with you that he can have less numbers, but it will feel like a better season.
Mm-hmm.
And he can win MVP because part of this conversation is, okay, what if somebody comes out of nowhere? Let's say the Detroit Pistons surprise everybody and they win 56 games and they are the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. And Cade puts up like an absolutely ridiculous line for him, like an incredible performance. There's no way that you can ever vote Cade over Jokic right now. Like there's just no way. He's like he is so much better. And but on the same time, I'm like, I don't know you could do that with Shea either. I think Shea's amazing. Shea's great. I've written all these words about him. I know how good he is. But like
I would be shocked. I mean, not shocked, but I feel like we leveled. Do you think if Shea was better in the playoffs, like from the scoring standpoint that he had in the regular season, then it might be different? Like, could he kind of like it was a different kind of player in the playoffs than he was relative to the regular season? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. So I again, he could win next year. I would not feel like completely amazing about that. But I think, Matt, to your point, listen, just take this in. This is Jokic's finish to the season, brother. 26, 16, 13, 20, 12, 11, 41, 15, 13, 33, 12, 9, 61, 10, 10, 27, 14, 6, 39, 10, 10, 40, 13, 9, 28, 7, 5, 34, 8, 4, 35, 18, 8, 24, 13, 9, 31, 21, 22, 3, 22, 15, 6, 20, 14, 9, 23, 17, 15, 32, 14, 10, 18, 9, 19. Like, if he just, I'm saying, man, like he just had 20, 19, and 9 in a scrimmage behind the scenes game 2 days ago. He might just be at that point, Matt, where it's just like I have figured out like what I'm doing so well that it's just a mechanism at this point.
Yeah,
how do you top that?
And I do think that they're like, he may not shoot as well from three, man, but he might shoot. I think he's going to shoot better at the rim because his floater, that chart's floating around Twitter about how good his floater is, but he missed a lot of bunnies last year, and he got the rebound on a lot of them. But yeah, I agree that there's very little chance that he's not in the conversation. I will continue to say, like, I'm not sure that he shouldn't have won last year, even with everything. And it takes a lot to get me there with a season where the coach got fired. But that's
you thought he should have won in 23 too, didn't you?
Yeah.
You thought he should have won 5 straight, basically.
Yeah. Well, no, because I actually thought that he should have won. I thought Giannis should have won. I can't remember.
21, 22. 22.
One of those years, I think that Giannis should. I think it was 22 was the year I thought Giannis should have won. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about the awards coming up. Who's the best candidate for the Nuggets in terms of hoping for a 6-man win? And we'll talk most improved. Christian Braun, Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson, all that and more coming up on Locked On Nuggets. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time that you had an urgent need, maybe for a plumber or a service provider. If the first person didn't answer, did you wait? Probably not. You moved on. That's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or computer. They're going to let you manage all of your calls and texts from one single app. The shared inbox feature, it's a game changer. Your team can jump into any conversation instantly without missing a beat. OpenPhone is offering our listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonnba. That's openphone.com/lockedonnba. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets. Thanks for joining us and making us part of your day. Appreciate you guys being with us. Make sure to check out Player's Choice with Swipa, because I was just about to say on Locked On NBA, I had a really great show today with Hayes where we talked about what's wrong with television coverage in the NBA, why that's a problem, and we got into why are NBA players so resistant and resentful of Jokic being one of the best players in the league. I think that's mostly over at this point, but we kind of talked about where it's come from and why that perception kind of existed. So go check that over, Locked On NBA. Swipa, all right, I'm gonna open this up to you. If I told you a Denver Nugget won 6th Man of the Year next year, what's your first guess for who it was?
Just based on play style, it would probably have to be Julian Strawther. Like shooting, scoring, off the dribble, highlight moments, big impact swings, like half court shooting, you pull ups, like crossover, floaters. If Julian Strawther has 8 25-point games off the bench next year, he has a 32-point outing versus the Los Angeles Lakers because he's just wide open, or he's walking by Luka or something like that, or Braun, or he played versus OKC again. He has another one of them, 28-point runs. He just has the play style, I think, that is like most consistent with what a 6-man award winner would be in the NBA. Tim Hardaway Jr., if he's just like he was last year, but just like even better, he definitely could be possible. Like if he has a Malik Beasley kind of resurgence like he did with Detroit last year, those would probably be the two. I don't know if anybody else will score at a high enough level unless Jonas is just like an absolute tank next year. I would probably say Julian, Hardaway, and then Jonas.
Yeah, if Jonas had something where it was like he was actually getting a ton of touches and just putting in, if it was just buckets and rebounds, right? The mark is kind of 18 for six man is you need to cross. You need to be at 18 or more. It's hard to see Jonas getting enough minutes. Maybe they play him next to Joker, like David Adelman's talked about. I'm very interested to see if that'll happen.
You don't think that they'll do the Houston Rockets, Steven Adams and Alfred Sengun?
I mean, I think they can counter certain matchups, right? I don't know why you would opt for it as a primary option.
Well, no, of course not.
Yeah.
Sure.
But like, if these other teams want to play two bigs, if the Knicks want to roll in and be like, we're gonna play Mitch Robinson and Cat, okay, fine, we're gonna play JV and Yoke. Cool. The rebounding on those units would be incredible, by the way. Those two are great rebounders. I would love to see Julian win this award. I think it'd be such a good story for the Nuggets to have another hit in terms of the development, to have Julian make that kind of a leap, and just to have a guy take over the bench minutes and be like, no, you can count on 18 points off the bench from me every night. Like I can fill up the bucket. That would be really good. And I think it's way more likely than it is Bruce Brown, because Bruce is just such a connector and kind of a fill-in. Like Bruce is a supplementary, augmentary guy where he does a lot that helps out a lot of other guys and makes it little individual plays, but he's just not like a volume guy. You're not gonna put the ball in Bruce's hands and be like, go get him. So, THJ, I think, has some shake to his game, but I think the most likely candidate is Julian. If I told you Peyton won it, what does that look like?
I mean, bro, Peyton would have to be like, who's an archetype for Peyton that would have won that award historically? I mean, he would have to be like an all-NBA candidate defense. He's averaging 14 points a game next year. Dunks, highlights. I thought I threw that mug away when I came over.
I was not trying to show. I was actually trying to hide it. I was actually looking. I was like, I usually
doing that actually drew attention to it. It's like trying to hide from the police, like standing behind him.
Adam used to get really mad at me for using it. I've been drinking it all day, so I just didn't think about it. So I really don't think that they're winning the division this year. I really don't. I think it's Broncos.
Pessimistic, Matt. Yeah, man. Peyton Watson would have to be like 14, a block and a half, a steal, lockdown defender, like completely terrorized.
I don't think then though, because it's like the award has always gone to these. It's gone to these Peyton Pritchard types, where it's just like they just get buckets for teams that are really and you have to be an elite team, which the Nuggets should be. I think that's an interesting one. How about most improved? If I told you a Denver Nugget won most improved player,
Cam Johnson.
Yeah,
good people haven't watched him in Brooklyn, and just like, oh wow, I didn't know he could do that. Like if he does the same thing he did the first 42 games of the year in Denver.
Like if he makes it like a huge leap, because that one you need to be averaging between 22 and 25, and that's a lot. That probably means something weird happened with Jamal, because I just don't know where you get the touches for that. But like, if Cam's averaging that many and all of a sudden everybody's like, yeah, Cam Johnson might be the second best offensive player on the Nuggets, that puts him in contention for that. It also makes for some really awkward conversations with Denver.
What about what would he have to even be at? Because Porter was at 17 last year. Porter was at 19 because the 23 games when Jamal went down. So could he get to with Jamal 19.3?
Yeah, but that won't get it done though.
Right, but I'm saying it would have to be like Cam Johnson turned back into Phoenix defense Cam Johnson.
Yeah, but even then, again, as much as I think defense should matter, but it hasn't. Like if we look at the history of the award, most improved player goes to a guy that makes his first All-Star team and jumps to 22 to 25 points per game. That's who it goes to.
So Jamal, basically.
Yeah. Man, that's interesting. What if Jamal won most improved? How pissed would he be?
You think he would be upset?
He'd be mad. He'd be like, I won a championship.
If he went to 24 points per game, he wouldn't understand the context of like, you went 3 points per game, maintained your shooting 6.5. No. All right, Matt, 24, 4, and 6.5 on the year on 48, 41, 89 splits. If he makes his free throws this year, 24 and 6.5, there's no way.
He'd still be mad. He'd be mad. I think he deserves it. I just think he'd be mad. Christian can't win it, because if Christian was going to win it probably would have been this year. And honestly, he was like, I think he would have been a very good candidate.
What if he jumps to like 18 though?
Yeah, I mean, look, if he does make a jump, if he turns into the player that Ryan Blackburn thinks he is, where he's going to be like apparently like running pick and roll and rising up and firing, and apparently he's a great passer, according to Ryan. So
this just went up as the year went on, but great. It's a far stretch.
Yeah, the Ryan's
connected passer.
Yeah. And that kind of does it for most improved. I don't know if there's anybody else. Although
Aaron Gordon.
No.
Even if he gets back to defensively again with the shooting. If he leaps to like second team all NBA defense, like he takes over Bam's spot, or he makes it a conversation between him and J-Dub, which probably wouldn't happen.
The key part there is if Aaron makes a first All-Star game, then maybe. But guys of his age also usually don't. It's not guys that are too young. It's not guys that are too old. It's in the middle. Julian actually might be a candidate for that as well, right?
So he would have to win 6-man and most improved.
Yeah. He'd be in conversation for both if that happened. Okay, coming up, the last one that I want to talk to with Swipa about is I think I don't care about All-Star. I care about All-NBA. Is this it? Could this finally be the year? Could Jamal Murray make an All-NBA team? Jamal NBA. We'll talk about that coming up on Locked On Nuggets. Let's talk about game time. Have you ever decided the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize that you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Game Time makes it possible. Do the Broncos have a home preseason game? I assume they do. Yes?
Probably.
Okay. You don't know? Okay. What kind of fan are you? It's actually, I will say this. I've been to preseason games. They're actually pretty fun, especially for the price that you're given. So you get the full stadium experience. You get the food and hanging out and watch it. And it's just fun to go to. And if you're an NBA fan, you've already sat through enough dead minutes of terrible basketball, regardless of when you went, to be able to enjoy
it. The Cardinals in Denver, so you could on the 16th of August.
There you go. So go grab tickets. Go see get in. Be a believer. Go hang out. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch or kickoff. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Tired of endless scrolling, trying to find the best deal? Game Time Zone Deals pick the best seats in the section for you. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Back here on Locked On Nuggets, thanks for joining us here on a Thursday. You can catch Swipa and Ryan tomorrow on Boom and Gloom, tomorrow at 2 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Eastern. All right. So, Swipa, I'm trying to think of the best way I want to ask this. How important to you? Because you've been one of the strongest advocates for get Joker, somebody who is actually like on the level of a second guy. How important is it for this season for someone, anyone, any of those guys to wind up making an All-NBA team and being an All-NBA player next to Joker?
Not important, to be honest with you. They just play some of it's an egalitarian style, but also too, they just haven't proven to get that and also need that in order to have like a high level performance over a regular season sample size. The better Jamal is, the better the team is. He's their ceiling raiser. I think that's been made clear for the last several seasons. But does Jamal have to be all NBA for them to be a 58-win team? No. I think if anything, they need to be healthy. They need to play within structure. They need to have a competitive and healthy culture. They need to feel like they're on one accord together. They need to be ready to fight together, but not to do what they need to do. I don't think he needs to be that. Jamal, I don't know if he will. I just don't know if he has the mentality, let alone anything else, like just the mentality to be an all NBA level player. Go ahead.
Well, let's talk about that for a second because, okay. The way there's a bunch of ways to skin this cat, so to speak. You shouldn't do that, by the way. Be nice to cats. You can average 20, and with Jamal, it's been that's what he's been. It's like every night is 21-6, 21-6, 21-6. What if the way for him to get there is that for early in the season, instead of him popping out 21-6 every night, it's that in the month from the last 2 weeks of October through December 1st, in the play, like especially with the in-season tournament stuff, if he's having signature games where he's putting in 40, 30, then it's fine if he has a night where it's 15, 16, 18. Then it's fine if he has a night where it's 14 and 4. If he's putting in bigger performances, just like a few more big games early in the season, couldn't that help in stabilizing those averages and getting him to the point where the numbers reflect? Because if they win, I do think there's actually an interesting idea here. What is more likely, that the Nuggets win 55 plus games and so Jamal is all NBA, or Jamal is all NBA and so the Nuggets win 55 or more games?
Oh, the latter. The ceiling. If he's pushing the ceiling that high, I think a lot of all NBA stuff. It's not just narrative. Like, I don't want to put it down to just that. But for me, remember Darius Garland? I was making an argument he was all NBA last year because of how he started the year.
Yeah,
I think that Jamal, if he's able to come into the season and everybody's like, oh wow, the Luka glaze that's happening online now because of his body and all that kind of stuff. Like, if he's like, oh, he's in shape, he's moving, he dunked on Victor Wembanyama, he had 40, versus the Spurs. He's like averaging 27.5 points per game for 2 weeks now. He's destroying everybody. The non-Jokic minutes are a positive with him and Jonas Valanciunas. That's all he needed. Matt Morris putting propaganda on the timeline that he just needed a real center. You start building all that stuff together, then absolutely. There's a world where it's like Jamal Murray might make third team All-NBA this year because now it's positionless and some players aren't going to qualify anyway. Is Darius Garland, Tyrese Halliburton, not next year, but all those players that are in that tier, are they really better than Jamal? Is Jalen Brunson, he's better, but how close is it right now? If he's in those conversations where he's pushing it like that, Donovan Mitchell last year, I don't think he was great, but he was really, really good on the number one team in the Eastern Conference. I mean, can he be in J-Dub talks like, look, the Nuggets won 58 games. Jamal's having a career season. They have to have 2 All-NBA players. That's what happened with J-Dub last year. I think he was really good, but people felt like they had to have 2 All-NBA players given the context of them winning 68 games last year. So there's definitely a route for it, but I would still be, like I said, I would still be surprised for it to happen.
What if Aaron was all NBA? And that means the defense is there.
Yeah, it would have to be who's his approximate? Evan Mobley?
Let's say that he's making 4 threes a game. 3 threes a game. 3.5.
So JJJ, Evan Mobley, that would be about where he would have to be.
Yeah.
So that would, you know what I mean? That's if his rim protection was that good, where it's you literally are having issues scoring from 6 feet in when Aaron Gordon's on you, his one-on-one defense is that dynamic. And AG'd averaging 15.5 points per game, 7 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and you can't score on him. Yeah, I mean, there's a path. I mean, I thought Zubac should have made third team All-NBA last year.
He should have. Yeah.
He was second in DPOY, I think.
Yeah, he should have been. Yep. No question.
So he would have to get to about where Zoo was last year. Is that possible?
Possible, yeah. If the Nuggets have a top 5 defense and it's because Aaron's everywhere. I know it's tough. It's tough. A lot of it's tough because of their scheme too. And I'm gonna be really interested to see how Adelman addresses this, which is in my opinion, having watched back some stuff in the summer, it kind of confirmed what I thought, which is teams were switching Aaron off and being get him out, get him out. Let's just attack everybody else, But if Cam's there and they can't do that anymore, maybe that shifts some of the dimensions. I think it's interesting.
Will they have the 29th ranked first quarter defense again?
Do what?
Will they have the 29th ranked first quarter defense again?
No.
Well, that should help a lot.
If nothing else, there were all these kind of signs. I wrote a big thing about how there was change coming the week before Malone got fired. And there were all these signs along the way. And that was to me, that was such an apparent one of just you're not trying. You're just not. You just think that you can screw around and then, okay, fine. We can do this. All right. But half the time they didn't get it done. And half the time it's because they buried themselves so deep. They're just going to play with so much more spirit next year. Their spirit was terrible last year. And if you play, I think Billy Donovan is actually a great proof of this. If you play with spirit and focus of execution, you can be a decent defense. Billy Donovan has dragged teams with horrendous defensive talent and pulled them into the top 15.
Yeah, remember Alonzo Ball, Caruso, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, and Vooch. That was the number 1 defense in the NBA while they had Caruso.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how about this one? Post All-Star last year, right? Post All-Star. And it's Kobe White and Giddey. They were 10th on defense. That's why when everybody complains about Billy Donovan, I'm like, guys, he is good. I understand your frustration, but he is good. And I think that's like an indication of if you play with spirit and intensity and intention of focus, like I intended to defend here.
Well, they haven't because they did this in the title year. But they have an 18-2, 17-3 run at some point this year.
Man, I gotta look at that. It's not even scheduled. It's not. I don't have to look at the schedule because it doesn't really matter.
Because that's just more of a feel thing at that point.
Yeah, it is. It is. Like, are they? Yes, I think they will.
Because that's what happened, and that's when everybody kind of was like, "Oh, they went 17-3 at one point," and it was just like, "All right, well."
The trick is that they'll always have these. They'll have like a 7-game win streak, a loss, a 7-game win streak, a loss, a 6-game win streak, a loss, and
they won't get their first 10-game win streak this year. You think? Will that be broken? They've never had that.
Didn't they get it last year? I thought they got it last year.
No.
They got to 9. They got to
yes. They got decimated.
Yeah. No, they won't. They won't.
You think Jonas is going to let that happen?
What? Look, I like Jonas. I just I don't think he's transformational.
Well, and do you think Jonas will make Jokic more competitive given the some of the rivalry stuff? Will that be a part of it too?
No, I don't think so. I do think he'll be happier having Jonas around. I think Jonas will be happy having Jokic around. I think those guys will have a good time. Before we get out of here, I do want to ask you, because Ryan and I talked about this and we had a whole conversation about it. And I thought it was a really great conversation. What's the number that you want for the Peyton Watson extension if it happens?
Well, I saw you said 6. And I was like,
yeah, it was too low. I mean, it was too low. Like 440 third-year player option is like more of what is like a reasonable squeeze on him. It's not what he's worth. He's worth more, but that's like a reasonable squeeze. 6 is too little.
How much better? Legit question. How much better is he than Zeke when Zeke got 8?
Way better. Like twice as good.
Okay, so we keep playing this. Is he how much better than Isaac Okoro is he?
I'm an Isaac Okoro guy, so that's tough.
Well, he got 11 for 3.
That seems reasonable.
11 for 3?
Yeah.
And you said Christian for 15 for 4?
That's what I would want, but it's not good. It's gonna be way more.
Grayson got 17.5.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I don't think that was a good deal. That's a terrible deal.
Do you think they could be at 30 mil between both of them on extensions? Because that would be like great.
Yeah, I think so.
20 for Christian, 10 for Peyton.
If they are paying more than that, then attention is really good with the cap, but I just don't think that you're like reading the tea leaves of what's going on around the league. And then if that's the case, why did you wait so long? Why didn't you just, like, unless they started at 30 per year.
Well, what's Kuminga right now? 7.5 with the qualifying. Is he better than Kuminga?
No.
So it sounds like about 9 is about where we're looking.
I don't like that, but no, he's not better than Kuminga. Kuminga's like,
so 3-year, $9 million player option, team option. But then the thing is,
it's tough because it's using other deals. I think to leverage it is a bad way to go about it, right? In part because here's like a really good way to think about it. Kuminga is actually a really interesting one because like think about this from Kuminga's perspective. Kuminga is a really good player who neither fits on the Warriors nor fits their current timeline and has like all this bad blood and they haven't played him and all of these types of things, right? And so what Kuminga is worth to the Warriors is going to be substantially less than what he's worth on the market, which is why I think the Warriors should trade him. And with Peyton, it's like what Peyton wants to be doesn't fit with the Nuggets. But what Peyton can be for the Nuggets fits great. But what the Nuggets want to pay him to be isn't worth that much.
Well, I think there's probably a Jalen Green Şengün situation here where he's not there. What did Torrey Eason get? Do you know?
I don't remember. Top of my head, I don't remember.
Because I think some of this is, I do think that for me, I would be convincing Peyton, who and his team, because they do watch the show. I would just say that I think the best thing would be is to get Peyton secured get him some money so he can be comfortable. So Torrey hadn't gotten an extension yet, but
no one has. That's right. Yeah, no one has.
I think that they should be in a situation, Matt, where, hey, Peyton, get starter level good over this rookie contract. Get that good. And if you do that, you will get $25 to $30 million a year with your skill set if you get starter level good in this league. I think that if you give him a 3-year deal for $27 million, 2 years guaranteed, you're getting 18, you get a player option on the last year. So if you take the next 2 years, so you'll be 6 years into the league at that point, Matt. If in 6 years you've developed your game offensively, you're now a 15 points per game player, you're legitimately like the Nuggets 6th starter, where people are like, can he play over Cam Johnson? Is this an Aaron Gordon replacement? I think that would be the most ideal situation. Short-term deal, get security, develop, and then by the time you get to your 26-year-old, 27-year-old season, you're on the market. You can demand a crazy contract from Denver or get traded for some real bread. Does that sound like a reasonable?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, that's going to do it for Locked On Nuggets. Appreciate you guys being with us. Catch Swipa on Twitter at SwipaCam, on his YouTube page as well, and on the Player's Choice. We will see you guys again tomorrow. Swipa and Ryan will be with you, and then we'll be back on Sunday night with No Jinx at 10 p.m. Mountain Time then. Tomorrow's show is at 2 Mountain, 4 Eastern on Friday. Appreciate you guys being with us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys again next time on Locked On Nuggets.